They were loyal until love made loyalty impossible. A knight who would die for his king, and a queen who would never betray her crown. And a single forbidden heartbeat that shattered both. This is the tragedy of Tristan and Isolde, a love that did not seek to rebel, yet defied every bond that tried to contain it. The sea was already mourning when Tristan entered the world. Thunder rolled like a distant funeral drum. His father had fallen in battle before ever seeing his son. His mother, broken by grief, gave birth and surrendered her final breath in the same hour. The child did not cry loudly. He entered life quietly, as if he already understood what had been taken. He was named for sorrow. He grew without lullabies, without gentle stories whispered in candlelight. His childhood was forged in discipline, in swordplay, in the relentless shaping of a knight. Those who raised him taught him one truth above all others: honor is stronger than longing. And Tristan believed them. He learned to fight not for glory, but for duty. He learned to serve without hesitation, and he learned that loyalty was not merely a choice, it was identity. Yet beneath his composure lived a silence no victory could fill. There are people who carry loneliness, not as a burden, but as a companion, and Tristan was one of them. Far across the restless sea lived Isolde. She was born into power, yet shaped by wisdom, and where others saw only beauty, those who truly knew her recognized carry of mind and strength. She studied herbs, remedies, and the fragile boundary between life and loss. Her world was one of expectations. Her future was already promised to peace, to alliance, to responsibilities longer than personal desire. She understood that sacrifice before she ever knew love. And so, two souls moved through separate worlds, shaped by duty and guided by forces neither could see. Fate does not always arrive as a miracle. Sometimes it arrives as a wound. Conflict arose between kingdoms, and Tristan, and now a knight of unmatched reputation, answered the call to defend the land he served. The battle was brutal. Steel met fury, and the enemy he faced carried poison in his blade, a weapon meant not merely to defeat, but to destroy. And Tristan prevailed, but victory carried a hidden cost. The wound he bore would not heal. His strength faded, his breath weakened, and physicians failed him, and hope withdrew. Believing death inevitable, he was placed upon a small vessel and set adrift upon the sea. No crew, no destination, only surrender. Yet the sea does not always deliver endings. Sometimes it delivers beginnings. The tide carried him to the shores of Ireland. I think we know that land, but it was there that Isolde found him. He lay motionless, pale as a driftwood, and suspended between existence and absence. She did not know his name. She did not know his allegiance. She knew only that a life still lingered within him, and that knowledge compelled action. Her hands worked with patience. Her remedies drew from generations of wisdom, and day by day, breath returned to him. Strength followed, and consciousness awakened. When Tristan opened his eyes, the first thing he saw was not a healer nor a princess, but presence, steady, luminous, and undeniable. Recognition is not always loud. Sometimes it is quiet and irreversible. Yet truth soon revealed its cruelty. He was the knight who had slain Ireland's champion. He was, by all rights, an enemy. But hearts do not obey borders. She spared him. He departed, healed, and something unseen remained between them, something neither named, yet neither forgot. Tristan returned to serve his king, King Mark, a ruler he honored not merely as a sovereign, but as family. Their bond was built upon trust, loyalty, and mutual devotion. Peace, however, requires more than courage. It requires alliance. King Mark sought marriage to unite lands and secure harmony. Tristan, faithful above all, accepted the task of escorting the chosen bride from Ireland to Cornwall. He did not know who she was, or perhaps he feared he did. When he arrived, destiny no longer whispered. The bride was no other than Isolde. Neither protested, neither fled. They stood within the order of duty that they had always obeyed. And then came the potion. Prepared to ensure unwavering love between king and queen, it was a drink meant to bind two lives together. Through chance or design, Tristan and Isolde drank it. And the change was not sudden chaos. It was clarity. A recognition deeper than choice. A bond that felt not created, but revealed. They did not fall in love. They awakened within it. An awakening does not ask permission, but rather the voyage to Cornwall became a passage between worlds, the world of obligation and the world of truth. They spoke little, and words were unnecessary. Their silence had more meaning than any confession could. And yet, destiny rarely offers joy without cost. Isolde married King Mark, and the court celebrated. The alliance was secured, and peace flourished. But within that peace lived a fracture invisible to all but two hearts. They did not seek betrayal. They did not pursue deception. They sought only to exist within the truth that they had never chosen. Love does not always arrive as rebellion. Sometimes it arrives as inevitability. They met rarely cautious, burdened by conscience. Each moment together carried both comfort and sorrow, and each separation deepened what cannot be undone. They remained loyal, and that loyalty was no longer simple. King Mark trusted Tristan completely. He cherished Isolde sincerely, and this trust transformed their love into tragedy. For betrayal against cruelty is defiance, but betrayal against kindness is devastation. Whispers emerged, and courtiers observed glances too blatant. Silence is too meaningful, and suspicion grows not from evidence, but from intuition. And intuition, once awakened, does not sleep. Eventually, separation became unavoidable, and Tristan was sent away, not executed, not condemned, but removed. Distance was deemed safer than judgment. Exile is a strange fate. It does not kill hope. It preserves it, painfully. Tristan wandered through distant lands, and he fought battles without purpose. He served causes without belonging. Honor remained his champion, but comfort never returned. Isolde ruled with grace. She fulfilled every expectation of a queen. She spoke wisely. She governed justly. She smiled when required. And in quiet hours, she remembered. Years unfolded like pages none wished to read. Time did not diminish their bond. It refined it into something quieter, more enduring, and more sorrowful. There are loves that burn brightly and vanish. There are also loves that fade gently and disappear. And there are also loves that endure. There are also lovers that endure without fulfillment. And theirs was the last. Fate, relentless as ever, returned with final severity. Tristan was wounded again, mortally. The poison he carried could be healed by one person, only one voice he wished to hear before darkness claimed him. And that person was Isolde. He sent word across the sea. If she came, the ship would bear white sails. If she did not, black. And hope reduced to a single sign. The ship approached. But despair often speaks louder than truth, which is quite the unfortunate truth, because he was told the sails were black. Believing himself forgotten, believing love had yielded to loyalty at last, Tristan released his final breath. Moments later, Isolde arrived, and the sails had been white. she reached him in silence. Grief does not always cry out. Sometimes it simply ends what remains. Her heart, unwilling to exist where his no longer did, followed him beyond the boundary neither had feared, but neither had sought. Their love did not conquer kingdoms. It did not change history through war or power. It revealed just something much more quieter. It reveals that devotion can coexist with conflict, that honor can wound as deeply as betrayal, and that love does not require fulfillment to endure. They did not choose love over loyalty, but rather they carried both until both broke them. And so their story remains not as triumph, but as a truth. Truth is that some bonds cannot be lived, some vows cannot be broken, and sometimes the deepest love is the one that asks nothing and gives everything. The sea still moves as it did when Tristan was born. Waves still meet the shore where Isolde once stood. Time continues, indifferent and endless. And yet, somewhere between duty and desire, their names remain. Tristan, Isolde. Not united by life, not separated by death, but only remembered. And remembrance, like love, does not really obey time, but rather it obeys what follows through their own heart. If this story stirred something in you, there are many more legends waiting. Tell me in the comment section down below which legend that you want next. And until the next tale, stay curious.